Hey everyone, it's Dawn here. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. Katie's running behind a little bit, so I'm going to get started, especially because this is the first video in what I hope to be a series, and it might be fairly long because if you did read the description, we're covering over 5 hours of a interrogation video by a named conspirator in a murder case. So what I want to tell you before Katie gets here is she doesn't know anything at all about this case. So I thought it would be interesting to interact with someone who might have a fresh perspective on things. She is a true crime buff, but she tends to look at crimes that happened in the past. So I think this will be interesting. She's super excited. Also a mom of 3, so possibly something came up that took her away today. So either way, I'm going to let this roll. So thank you again for joining us as we review as potential jurors who might see any of this as evidence. And we're going to just offer our reaction and our opinions. That's it. We're not professionals. We're not in the legal field. We're not behavioral scientists. So I personally am a skincare specialist. If you don't know me, if you're new to me, hi again. It's nice to know you. I help people all over the US to get healthy skin, gain more confidence, and trust what they see in the mirror every single day. And since the pandemic and the George Floyd murder up in Minnesota, those trials, I've become super interested in watching trials. There's so many trials that are publicly available, especially on YouTube. So I find that fascinating. Although I don't love certain parts of trials, especially murder trials. I'm also interested in business law and sports law, just as an amateur interest. So my beginnings, and I'm not exactly sure where my beginnings were as far as this particular trial, the Dan Markel case, the Dan Markel murder. I subscribed to the behavior panel, and if you're not subscribed to them yet, you're missing out, but they're super interesting. And they are behavioral scientists at different levels for each one. It's a panel of 4 gentlemen who will go through interrogation videos, trial testimony, that type of thing, depositions, and offer what they think they're seeing and hearing with body language in particular. I just tend to focus on what people are saying myself. And again, it's just my personal opinion. Some of my favorite trials, especially right now, I'd say the Theranos debacle, the Elizabeth Holmes trial, where she has been found guilty. We're waiting for sentencing. There's always a different twist and turn to that, but I'm just eagle eyes on that one. And although I didn't want to, I did watch the Darrell Brooks trial at the Waukesha parade. I tend to like to mention the victims' names, not the perpetrators. So that one was interesting. It was kind of like something I just couldn't not watch. I'm from that area originally, but I haven't been there for over 40 years. So YouTube algorithms are really great. And that's how I found the behavior panel. And that's how I found Mentor Lawyer. And I will say, I was I was watching them when they were under 100 viewers. So it's been a while. It's been a couple of years, but the pandemic has brought out interest that I didn't know I had. A couple, including football, which is kind of crazy. So that's a little bit about me. Here's my disclaimer. Again, I'm not in the legal or behavioral science field. Law and trials are just interesting to me. And so the opinions expressed here are just that, my personal opinions and observations. And there's a more elaborate disclaimer down in the show notes below, along with shout outs. And as you'll see throughout this series, Mentor Lawyer, who is a lawyer in Tallahassee, Florida, where this murder took place, published the 5-hour plus interrogation series that we're going to look at. So a big thank you to him for being on top of the Dan Markel murder case when very few were noticing, especially across the U.S., who really didn't know about it. And to Judy, the YouTube lawyer, for helping to carry that torch, and many, many others. So you'll find their info also in the show notes of every episode. You'll want to be following them if you're interested in the Dan Markel case. So I have what I call a conspiracy tree. It's a little, let's see if I can find it for you. It's a little family tree, so to speak. And so I'm going to quick show you that in case, and I want to show that to Katie. I did send her a copy, but I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'll wait till Katie gets here. I'll show that when Katie gets here, if she gets here, because I'm assuming some of you already are familiar with the case, and I'm going to publish that in the community under that discussion too. So be sure to get notifications on so that you can see the community activity, because I am posting some graphics that are what I'm using from this show as well. I also have playlists. So all of this series will be in a playlist. So if you go to my page, go to playlist, you'll find it. I have a playlist if you aren't familiar with this case that I can send you a link to if you don't find it. And it includes Mentor Lawyer's 5+ hour video. It includes many other backgrounds, including the YouTube version of the podcast Over My Dead Body, excuse me. So let's go ahead. It doesn't seem to be like our gal is here, which kind of worries me. She's extremely reliable, so I hope everything's okay, Katie. But let's get started. So what I plan to do is go to that playlist on my page and find Mentor Lawyers, and you can just go to Mentor Lawyer as well and find that interrogation. And then I'm going to put the timer on so I don't go too far. And there's a timer, of course, on his video. So let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get started. And you know what? I'm going to do it this way. Just to be sure. I'm going to go ahead and open it because sometimes YouTube will take you to a whole different page when you do it this way. So I'm going to open the playlist myself. And we're going to go to the playlist called Justice for Dan Markel. And there's quite a bit of a playlist there. And the first video on that is the interrogation video that we are going to cover in the next 5 to 10 or more weeks. All right, let's go. And Chrome has lost permission to patch your system. What? Hold on a sec. This is a first, and this is not new to me. So let me try a different way. We're just starting out with a bang here. I'll try sharing the window instead. And it's not letting me share. Okay, let me go to system preferences. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to bow out for 1 sec and I will be back with the video. So thanks for holding on. I don't see any comments yet. So thanks for holding on, and hopefully I'll figure out a way to edit this part out. And maybe Katie will be with us. So something wrong with sharing the screen, which is the first. I've been using StreamYard also since day one. So I'm not sure what's happening. Hold on 1 sec. There's a known bug. Well, I'm back, and it does say that there is a known bug. So first time I've encountered it. Let's try that again. I supposedly fixed. So let's see what we can do. No, very odd. Well, kids, I'm going to have, this really is unfortunate. Still need help? Still need help. Max share screen, sister. All right. I guess it's a Mac issue. So let's go to security and privacy, screen recording. And actually, maybe that's what I did wrong. I chose camera. Location, I don't see screen recording. Screen, I'm not trying to record it. I'm just trying to play it. Maybe there's a problem with StreamYard. That isn't a thing. Privacy, screen recording. Well, for those of you who I said, hey, if you need help, okay, so Google Chrome is unchecked. All right. Okay, this is kind of complicated, but I'm glad it's happening now because cha-ching. Wow, what an auspicious beginning. Sorry about that. I had to do quite a few restarts. So let's try one more time. If this doesn't work, I might just come back on tomorrow because this is weird. Ta-da! What do you know? What do you know? Okay. Oh. I'm so happy I found that out, what's going on. That's a first, and I do apologize. Maybe none of you are even really looking. So, okay, here we go. We now have, oh my goodness gracious, heavens to Betsy. Oh, and Katie's here too. Perfect. No, I saw a blink, but I guess she's not here. Okay. All right, kids, let's get rolling on this. I am going to make this as large as possible for you. And this is the playlist. The first item on my playlist is the interrogation video. You can see it's 5 hours, 5 minutes, and 12 seconds. So I'm going to get started with this because I'm doing this no matter what, and hopefully there won't be a commercial. Let me know if you can hear it okay. And this is when Wendi Adelson was brought in and supposedly didn't know her ex-husband was murdered. So here she is in the interrogation room. So again, to set the scene a little bit, she's waiting theoretically to find out why she was brought in to the by the police. She was taken, picked up while she was having lunch with friends the day her ex-husband was murdered. And this was, it says 2:46 p.m. And so it was only several hours, actually, not many hours after he was shot in his driveway while in his car. And she's sitting there waiting, wondering what's going on. She supposedly doesn't know anything. So what I like to do is kind of put myself in someone else's shoes and what would I be thinking or doing if I'm having lunch with my friends? And here comes the investigator.
You let me know. What'd you hear? Who was your voicemail?
It's from Lacey Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting at Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right, just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Do you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
Now, the first thing I want to say is he had told her, as far as I can remember, not to call anyone and to put her phone away. And as soon as he was out of the room, she started looking at messages and listening.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right, you can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay, do you have your identification with you? So you never took the last name of Markel?
No.
Adelson. Okay, Wendy with an I. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth. Okay, and then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
The first thing I noticed was when the detective was telling her there was a shooting, she was nodding her head up and down. And now, again, she's nodding her head up and down as he's saying that he needs to do his business first. So as if she might, some people might want to go like this. For me, I would probably be nodding my head back and forth. This isn't true. I don't believe it. But so she's confirming what he's saying, and that may or may not mean a thing.
Understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit at certain parts.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to be sorry about it. Let me go over this one, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay.
Boom. Hysterical crying. All of a sudden, yeah, I was there. I didn't leave my house until noon. So she flips on and off her emotions really quickly. Some people are talented that way. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked or something.
Okay. And this is the first time she starts with her preemptive strikes. In other words, softening this this interview by saying, "Oh yeah, I drove by there," right off the bat. Kind of interesting. Just saying.
Point that I'm not sure what time it
And I
was.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because
Oh,
sometimes
you're saying that you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my god, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to.
Oh yeah, and all the details about what she was doing, why she was buying bullet bourbon. We're talking in the first minute or so, well before as soon as she stops crying long enough, she starts offering the story of her morning preemptively. He didn't ask for all those details.
Drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes there's.
Now, I'd love to know what you think. Do you think she saw that she was noticed when she did that? Because one of the detectives that was, or police officers, I'm not sure which, that was at the murder scene did see her. She may or may not have known that, but she may have. And so again, the word I like to use in this entire interrogation video is preemptively putting out information in order to soften her exposure.
When I went to there were,
in my opinion,
electrical things that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and I get super glue for one of the boys' toys, and I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy because my TV was broken and it's under warranty. Yeah, I figured.
A guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one.
What time did he come to the house?
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay. Okay.
And already, just minutes in, we've talked about, without being prompted, that she was witnessed at least the crime scene tape, that she was buying bourbon. We will later find out what kind of bourbon. And that, yeah, she was having her TV repaired, which we will find out later on why that's important, possibly.
And then
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the.
So again, I just learned that somebody that I once loved, somebody who's the father of my children, was shot and wasn't expected to live. I don't think I would be personally hysterical just yet, but the level of detail with the unprompted detail that she's going into immediately is something that really stood out to me.
Citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. Did laundry.
Nobody asked you
and
about
then I
your
left the
shower,
house
girl.
around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah.
Okay, you went down, which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to. I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right,
Now
so
she's
you,
not. So notice when she's hyperventilating and when she's not. Very calm right now as she's explaining all of these things with her hands. And this is why I took Trescott and because the detective is probably already wondering what was she doing there.
I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with the divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton?
Go all the way down Centerville and around Benton. Just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so
Yeah. So just what I'm noticing here is what she's like when she's just explaining details in a story, regardless of whether it's truthful or not. She's calm, she's expressive, she's not staring into his eyes, she's not doing the head bobble like a baby. Very different body language, that's all I'm saying, is it's different from what we're going to come to see later.
You turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors, it's at, yeah, Benton. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, did you make a purchase there?
Yeah.
And that was sometime after 12?
Probably 12:30.
Okay, all right.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol, and so they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy, we had a whole conversation about bourbon, and
Right.
my eyes, like,
Your eyes?
he just said, your eyes are really blue.
Your
And
eyes?
Your contacts?
I do.
Okay, again, nobody asked her about her eyes, but she thinks that's important right now.
But I just remembered it. So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's, I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street, it's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville. If you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay, just past the Goodwill
Just past
place?
the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay, all right, and then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic.
Mosaic restaurant?
And I met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting, and I hadn't seen my two friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
Lots and lots of detail here. Not even one inclination to maybe could I please go to the hospital right now while if he's not expected to live? Can I get my children to come see him in his last, hours or minutes? Not even one thought about that. Just a lot of thought about what kind of details she wants to get out there.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1, and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay, all right, I know it's cold in here. Okay.
I think that's not why.
Okay, I know it's part of it, but do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's oh my God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now. You
I
understand, right?
understand. He he had friends. He was not well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone would do something like this.
Anybody that he owes money to?
No, he's like me.
He owes money to you? Okay.
Not me.
He owes money to me.
Okay, all right.
Oh my God, we're characters. Oh There's a lot of people that really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself. He was a very positive person.
Okay. No one that you know of or that you've spoken to recently that he has some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
No one he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know, like,
Right.
If he had something going on, I would know about it. But I mean, I lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where he was going to go, and he I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not anyone who would like hate him. He met well everyone that knew him. He doesn't mean well, but he's can be a little like argumentative.
Right.
But not he didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He wasn't involved in anything bad. He was just everything.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were divorced in 2 years or total separation? I'm assuming.
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time. He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
You know his girlfriend?
I met her once in the last couple of weeks. She was visiting. She lives in New York.
Okay. You know anything about her?
I know some things about her. She's also a law professor. I know she's recently divorced and she has a son. I don't know if her divorce is final, but I think recently divorced.
Where's she a law professor at?
At NYU. And they seemed very happy, and I think that was a really good thing in his life. He seemed really happy.
If you're replaying, please put in the comments if you are for or against me putting the speed up on playback of this video. If it annoys anyone, I will just do it at the normal speed. I'm just trying to cut through certain things that are immaterial.
About it, she came down here, she met the boys, and I met her, and she told me how great she loved the boys. I could seem to find it.
She ever stay at the house with him?
Just that one time.
When was that?
I remember because I just got back from being with my family in South Florida. Sorry.
It's okay. You're doing great.
So what date was it? I went with my family. It was my dad's 70th birthday. We went home for it. So his birthday was the 5th. I left Monday the 30th. So she must have come into town Saturday, the evening of the 28th.
What month? June? This past June?
Just now. So June 28th. And then she was there with the boys the 29th, and then I met her on the morning of the 30th when I picked up the kids to take them to South Florida.
Do you know when she left?
I could probably find it, like in the email and stuff. I think she was here for like one more day, and then Danny went up to New York because I was with the kids in Miami for a good long while. I was there. I drove back July 10th, so I was there almost 2 weeks. And so I think he went up the next day.
Okay. Do you know her name?
I do. It's Wendi Adler. Oh my gosh, she's
A-D?
Adler.
And she's a professor of law at NYU?
Yeah.
What kind of car does she drive?
I have no idea. I know she has a car. She lives in New York City.
Well, so I mean, she was driving down. I mean, she flew down here, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have her phone number?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know how long they were dating, and it seemed kind of serious if she met the kids, but I don't really know. He's been going up to New York for like conferences and stuff since when he was about a few months old. So he's been going up there 3.5 years. So my guess was that they might have known each other for a long time, but have been dating. I don't know how long.
Well, let me ask something. Does his relationship with her have anything to do with your all's divorce?
No.
No, it had nothing to do with
No.
an extramarital affair or anything?
No, the only thing I'm thinking is Amy. I don't know what Amy's whole divorce situation is like. So if you're gonna think of someone who's not thrilled with Danny, I don't know how happy her husband or ex-husband is with the situation.
Oh, what a good idea. Let's start putting out potential people who would hate Danny. Now, one of the things I didn't say that I noticed earlier is she said her reason for going down Trescott every now and then is to look at the house and to come to terms with the divorce. Now, the divorce has been finalized and she initiated the divorce. Now, I'm not saying personally, we don't know what her emotions are in that way, but it's been 2 years since she left. Hi, Antoine. Yay. Hey, Antoine. I'm so glad the sound is good. I am speeding it up. Does that bother you? Do you like the speed up? I'm speeding it up during certain parts that are kind of dead space. Let me know if you think it's too fast or if that bothers you. Thanks for being here.
Do you know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him.
So you know Amy Adler, she's a professor at NYU. She was down here from the end of June to the first part of July.
I think just a few days.
Right,
Yeah.
as visiting, but he's been seeing her when he goes to New York on these conferences.
Yeah,
trips.
well, he's in New York in the summertime. We have a week on, week off schedule with the boys. So whenever I have them for a week, he goes up to New York for a week. So he's been spending a lot of time up there.
Did he relate to you that he'd been seeing her up in New York, or that's where they met, or anything of that nature?
He didn't tell me about it, but I feel like he was pretty vocal with like our friends and people probably since December about her being his girlfriend. So
Who would be his best friend?
when we were still together, he had 2 best friends. Neither of them were in Tallahassee. Oh my God, I'm completely blanking on their last names right now.
That's okay.
Matt Price. That was his best man at our wedding. And Josh Berman, who Matt is in DC and Josh is in New York. Actually, he has a friend. I don't know if they're so close, but he and the boys sleep over at their house a lot. They're in Cairo, Georgia.
Okay.
That's probably his closest friend here.
You know his name?
His name's Alex Greenberg. He's a veterinarian in town, and they've got kids around the same age as our kids.
Is it that here?
How about, hey, let's call Alex and get somebody over to that hospital that he's fighting for his life at. I don't know. That's kind of what I'd be thinking, but I'm not Wendy.
You're in town?
Mm-hmm. And I think
You know
they're
where his
close.
office is?
I don't. Maybe in Cairo.
Oh, he doesn't have office in
I
Tallahassee.
don't think so.
He's a vet in Cairo.
Their house is in Cairo. His wife is a dentist. I don't know if her practice is in town or in Cairo either. His wife is Maya.
I don't know. Just for somebody who was crying that hysterically, she is able to put out a level of detail that is pretty mind-boggling. Suggesting to me, maybe it was rehearsed. I don't know. I don't know anything. Just my opinion.
MYA.
Okay. You're being very helpful. Okay, I know it's hard.
I'm trying. I just
You're doing
can't
fine.
believe what's happening.
You're doing fine. I know it's all the shock. I know it's coming to you all at once. Okay.
I don't know who would do this.
Okay. Well,
Time
it
for
appears
hyperventilation.
from what we've seen so far that someone intentionally hurt Annie. Okay, intentionally. Okay, I don't
I don't
think
know who it is.
no. And I
What
don't
do you
think
think I'm after the boys?
I don't think
You don't know who it is? Now she's already laid out her story, an amazing level of detail, while being hysterical and crying and hyperventilating. And now she's starting to ask for information that could be useful to her. Again, showing no empathy for Dan in from what I can tell, in terms of, hey, can I just go see him at the hospital? I just found that, like, right off the bat, the first time I saw this, like, she's just sitting there. I mean, maybe for a few minutes, I'm sure the police would have accommodated her if that's what she wanted.
that's going to be. I have no indication at this time that that's a threat. Okay, but the boys are going to stay with you. You're not going back over to Trescott.
No, I
Okay?
don't live there anymore.
I know you don't. But the boys are going to stay with you, okay? And they'll be fine.
I don't want to go there anymore, to Trescott. That was fast.
I can take care of them like this.
Fine. Where's your closest family at?
My family actually just talked to my brother this morning. My parents are in Coral Springs.
Okay.
And my brother, I have two brothers, but I'm very close to one of them who is in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. All right. So that's where you're from originally, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So much detail about her family. He just said, where are they? The answer would be, I don't know, Miami. And we get like a two, 3 semi-paragraph of information. I talked to my brother this morning. He didn't ask him that. He didn't ask her that, but we know that's important.
Yeah, he's in Canada. Did they know? Did you tell them?
No, they haven't known.
Oh, God. His friends
This is what I want to do, okay? This is what happened, okay? Daniel's been shot, okay? And we have to find out why and who did this. Can you help with that?
I will try.
Okay. What I want to do right now is try to expedite things, okay? But I need your permission. I want to take your cell phone and download all the information out of it.
Sure.
Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay. And then.
So here she's saying sure, but she's shaking her head no. Now, earlier I mentioned when she was shaking her head yes over and over again about Danny being shot. Now she's saying sure, but she's shaking her head no, which is pretty notable.
We're going to make arrangements for you to get the kids, or we'll get the kids somehow, okay?
And Antoine, is her legal training maybe a disadvantage her because she is so aware of what could be thought? Well, I don't know if it's a disadvantage. I think if the state of Florida is correct and naming her as a co-conspirator, honestly, she hasn't been charged yet. I mean, she hasn't been arrested yet. So I think not. But does she think she's smarter than everybody else? And does that or her family members think that? We know that they feel that way because we've heard them say it as such in the tapes.
Because the kids are at daycare, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to need their mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. I got to get a form for you to sign, and then I'm going to get the phone started. Okay.
Oh, God. I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
Well, you had two of them up there for a last minute lunch date, right?
How do you know that?
Well, I mean,
I have a lot of friends. He says, I know. And immediately she's saying, how do you know that? What? Who would think to ask that question? How do you know that? Well, we'll find out.
You went up there, you're sitting with them. You have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well. And I'm so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Oh, maybe one of her friends might have done this. This is new to me. I loved looking at this over and over again because I always pick up new things. So she's throwing the kitchen sink, as we'll learn later, the kitchen sink as far as keeping the detectives busy looking. And I didn't realize I have a lot of friends. Maybe someone did this.
Saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something like this?
I forgot.
I don't know. That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking. Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay. Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
I mean, my brother, the one his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to, he makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made.
I'm going to go back one sec here.
To get the kids, or we'll get the kids somehow, okay? Because the kids are at daycare, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to need their mother.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yes.
I got to get a form for you to sign, and then I'm going to get the phone started, okay?
God. I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
You had two of them up there for a last minute lunch date, right?
Last minute?
Well, I mean, you went up there, you're sitting with them. You have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well. And I'm so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Oh, are you saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something
Who
like
would
this?
do this?
Who would do this? Okay, this is interesting, this part.
I don't know. That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking. Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
All of a sudden, she's not hyperventilating. She's looking him straight in the face, tilting her head. Not in a million years. Ready for that question. Very ready. And if she was going to ask the detective, if I were going to ask the detective, me, I would say, what, me? Of course not. No. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
But that's just me.
Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
What good does it serve?
That's important too. Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you? Simply no. Was that maybe some sort of a confession? I don't know.
I mean, my brother,
Boom.
the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to, he makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this.
So first of all, this really confuses me because she's telling her story. He's not asking so much, which is a good detective work, letting them speak. But she says, we were speaking this morning. So that's the second time she mentioned that she was speaking to her brother on the phone this morning, the morning of Dan Markel's murder. It was after he said, would somebody do this for you or on your behalf? And she said no, which we don't think is, I think she wasn't lying there. And then she says, he always says hiring a hitman would be cheaper than buying you a TV. So it wasn't that he just said it that one time. And we know that. And she probably knows that they're going to find that out. So again, it's another preemptive strike. I think that's the fourth one so far.
TV. I mean, he would never. He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right.
So she told the repair guy about her big brother taking care of her. Weird.
That's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I said I didn't know because it was a gift, because my brother said it's cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's a good time to pause. It's if you see the time here is 3 hours and 9 minutes and 42 seconds, and we started at 3:09:42. I probably should write this down. And we started, it was 2 hours and 45 minutes and 37. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to get to the comments. Yes, Antoine, I like how she's able to shuffle through the information she is giving in such an emotionally intense moment. Yeah. Maybe practiced, or maybe, she's not an experienced lawyer. We know that. She's been in academia, so she hasn't had a lot of practice in front of jurors or in court in front of a judge. She said it, Antoine says she said it to the repair guy this morning. Is that before or after the time of the incident? If I recall correctly, it was before, because she didn't leave her house until that was done. She had phone call with her brother and her mother, at least one that we know of. And there may have been others if they were using different phones, a second set of phones, or that were not retrieved, because again, we know that this investigation didn't open up for a couple of years later. So it was before the time of the incident, because she had the TV repair, and then she popped in her car and went down to Trescott to Looky Loo. And by that time, he was murdered. So why do you ask, Antoine? I'm curious why you asked that question. And I'm going to just check on Katie. I hope my Katie is all right. No, she's not here. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm not going to stop screen sharing just in case we want to look at more if you're interested. So, all right. I'm going to just go a couple more seconds here.
Contact number for her.
Oops, I went.
God.
His phone. Yes.
I feel like I need to help my family. What's going on?
No, you're going to get it back. It's just going to.
I already forgot where I left off. I think it's right. Oh,
Looks really young. She's very pretty.
By the way, what do you all think about her going into such detail about Danny's girlfriend being pretty and she looking young and that kind of thing? And shouldn't she have moved on from the divorce that she initiated? I don't know. So Antoine says, it gives me the idea that she possibly knew it was coming and she uses the hitman joke as sort of a self-snitching. As humans, we need to report what we do. Yes, and I agree. I think it might be the self-snitching. That's a good idea. And it could be what I'm calling preemptive strikes to soften. When they get the evidence, they can be like, oh, yeah, she mentioned that. So, when somebody says something happened before it happens, we as humans think, oh, well, I knew that was coming type of thing. And it might soften it a little bit. Yeah, she did seem to be hating on that girlfriend. And she certainly did know a lot of details about, she said she only came to his house that one time. How would she know? How would she know that? He didn't ask that. I mean, there's so many questions I would ask. Obviously, I'm not in there, but I'd like to ask, how do you know she only came to visit Danny in Tallahassee once from New York? How do you know that? And she had the dates that stood out on the calendar. Antoine, she thought Danny couldn't do any better, and it hurt her when she thought there was somebody better out there. Yeah, for sure. She might have been having second thoughts. Maybe he wasn't such a bad guy, right? Maybe the marriage could have been repairable, but she did seem to really be jealous of Danny's new girlfriend, which I just find crazy, and know all the details about when she was coming and going and all of that. Now, as a mother of, they shared children, you'd want to know about someone's significant other, but the level of details or the details that she's sharing are just a little bit, tells me like she was maybe even having her followed or having him followed by an investigator of some sort. Just my thought. Let's see. I'm just curious where I draw. Do you guys remember?
Right. And she has children.
She has a son.
Oh yeah, that is right. Yep, that's the last
for her. But you know she's a professor at NYU.
Yeah.
You know that her and Danny have been seeing each other, and that she stayed here from the end of June to the 1st of July. Just
at least 2 days, maybe. Yeah.
And she met the children.
Yeah, she met a few friends in town too.
And you don't know anything about her ex.
No, I know she was married.
Right. And she has children.
She has a son.
In New York.
In New York.
Okay.
And she met a few friends in town too. She certainly knows a lot. I didn't, I left my husband. I didn't want to stay married to him for various reasons, but I certainly didn't. But again, I don't want to project the way I do things on somebody else, but I certainly wouldn't have known if he had a girlfriend, whether they met his friends or not. I mean, that's just not something, that's just very interesting.
She's a son. I think he's 14.
Okay. Do you know how old Amy is?
She's 50.
She's 50?
Yeah. She doesn't look 50. She's very beautiful. She is, nothing can be beautiful at 50, but she looks really young. She's very pretty and accomplished. And
You know her date of birth?
I only know that she was 50. I don't, because I was looking her up one time.
Oh, okay.
stalker.
Okay, so she's 50. She goes by Amy Adler.
Her middle initial is M.
Emma. Okay.
So that, like, if you looked her, oh my God, if you looked her up on the law school website, you find her that way.
Okay.
So she's so far implicated. Possible suspects would be her brother, but he would never do that. One of her friends on her behalf, because she has so many friends. And now she's talking about this girlfriend that Dan had, this beautiful, accomplished girlfriend.
Her brother's he's like a famous fashion designer. So I think they spend a lot of weekends like in the Hamptons, and she lives in the city and lives like, good life.
Okay. You gave me a name of Matt Price, who's in DC.
That's his best friend.
Is that an attorney?
He's an attorney, I'm sorry to deal with so many lawyers.
That's okay, I'm used to it. I got to deal with state attorney's office, public defender's office, private attorneys.
The only time I've ever been in this, I represent victims of crime. I represent immigrant victims of crime. So the only time I've ever been in this building is like advocating for my clients.
And the
Detective's like, oh, okay. In other words, I don't care. She's awfully chatty Kathy.
other friend?
The other friend is Josh Berman, also attorney. He's in New York City.
A city attorney from New York?
No, he's private. They're both private. Okay. And they were like the historic best friends from college and law school.
And of course, Alex is up in Cairo.
I'm assuming they're close. I know that he sleeps over at their house a lot with the kids.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because the kids really love to play together or because they're close, but they spend a lot of time together. I'm sure they're close.
All right. Okay.
Danny's pretty religious, so like he'd be connected with like rabbis and stuff in town too.
So again, why don't we call the rabbi? I mean, thankfully somebody did, but she's sitting there letting him die in the hospital.
All right. Which synagogue does he go to?
He goes to two. The one he's most strongly affiliated with is Shomrei Torah. And by the way, if you get an odd I can't use it, I can really use it. So I'm not gonna die, but if I could just, I'm really grateful.
Bam. So at least the detective, that's when he leaves the room as soon as he finds out what synagogue Danny was affiliated with. And so thankfully he called. I learned later, I don't know if you all picked up on this, but that there were folks from the synagogue that were at his bedside, or at least at the hospital when he died, when he was struggling and then when he died. So in any case, thank you for joining. If you are in the live chat, thank you for chatting, especially Antoine. Yay. Antoine, I don't know if you saw the beginning, but there were some StreamYard glitches that I have never come up with, but I had to just change some system settings on my Macintosh for a first time. So the start to this episode was a little rocky, and my partner Katie is not here, and I'm a little worried about her because she's a mom of 3 and she was super excited to join this morning. So we'll see what's happening with her. But for now, and we can take more up in the comments below, but I do have to run. That was a little more than 30 minutes to get us going. And so we'll be back next Monday or sooner. I do have a couple of other people who said they'd like to come on with me. Antoine, you're welcome if you want to discuss the case to join us on the screen. So I'm going to call it a day for now for the live stream, and I'll meet you back in the comments. How does that sound? It's so nice to see you and everyone who's watching and listening and who cares about this case. I really appreciate it. The community who is interested in this case really appreciates having a little bit more light shine on it. And to me, the human factor is just so incredible. There's so many issues about this case, including the less than privileged being in prison right now, and those who they literally said that paid them to do this are sitting there in their homes comfortably in Miami. So with that, we'll see you again soon. And remember, Mentor Lawyer and all the folks that I mentioned in these videos are mentioned also below in the description and the show notes below. And again, I am not a professional. These are just my unprofessional personal opinions and takes, and I find this very interesting, and many people do. So with that, that is my motivation for speaking about this case, and I have no other motivation. Bye for now.
you.